I am Sammy Tatro, and I am coming to you live from Louisiana. So drop me in the comments, tell me where you are watching from, and we would appreciate any of you guys chiming in, letting us know where you're calling in from, or chiming in from. Hi, thank you guys. Good to see you all. Thank you all for joining us. So today we're going to be talking about mindful learning and mastering new DIY techniques. Sometimes that can be a little bit intimidating, especially for some of us that haven't grown up being very handy. Some of us that maybe just kind of, our parents bought everything and didn't really get in the garage, didn't really play around with tools. It can be a little bit intimidating. So I'm here to kind of break that down and encourage you guys to try something new. So I want to ask you guys, do you guys remember the last video that you watched on TikTok of that super amazingly crafty mom? And she started to break up her get out her tools and get set up for her next DIY project. And you kind of watched with awe and inspiration, yet a lot of anxiety and wondering, where the heck does one even start doing that? Where do you learn those skills and techniques? Where do you acquire the supplies and tools? And then you kind of thought to yourself, I wouldn't even know where to start. And then you started to wonder, can I get that same project on Temu? Maybe a little cheaper with a lot less anxiety and a lot less do it myself. And so, but it doesn't come with the excitement and the pride that you get from the DIY. And then learning that new skill as well, right? So today we're going to kind of break it down a little bit. I'm going to encourage you guys, and I'm going to give you 3 helpful tips and how to approach some of these DIY skills. And then if you stay to the end, I do have an offer for you guys at the end. So tip number 1 for DIY projects with a little bit of a mindfulness is mindful learning. Tip number 1 is mindful learning. Approach DIY projects with mindfulness. And I guess I assume everybody knows what DIY means, but just in case, there was a time that I didn't, it is do it yourself. So let me know if this is the first time you're learning do it yourself is what DIY stands for. Sometimes that happens. All right, so take your time, be present in the project and in the process, and then savor the satisfaction of acquiring the new skill, right? Mindful learning enhances retention and enjoyment. And so that mindfulness is really about the plan. Did you know that you can borrow tools from certain establishments? So if you're doing an automotive project, maybe it's not so crafty, but maybe it's an automotive something, you can borrow tools from places like AutoZone or Napa. Did you know that? If you can't borrow them, you can at least rent them, which the one time for me, it ended up being purchase the tool and then return it for a refund. And that's totally acceptable. It's not even a, like, don't let them know I used it kind of thing. That's the rental process. So that's a possibility. Home Depot rents tools if you wanted to try your hand at something with a air nailer, for instance. Maybe I built a little shelf for my oils one time, and that was one of my first DIY projects. So you can rent certain tools from establishments, and it's worth asking. So the mindfulness in the process is also to go ahead and ask for expert advice, right? We're going to kind of touch on that here in just a second. But so that's the first process. The first tip is mindful learning, and then taking the satisfaction of the learning process in acquiring a new skill. Okay, now that doesn't help you guys start with the skills, but the tip at the end might help you more with that. And we're going to discover more as we go along. So we're going to continue to give tips as we go. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to start small and dream big. Begin with a manageable project. So like I said, I just got two little 1 by 2 inch pieces of wood, cut them down, made my little angles. So of course you got to cut them at an angle, and that's pretty hard to get those angles to match up. To cut a 45-degree angle with your first time using a chop saw or whatever it is, maybe you're doing a hand saw for the first time. And so start really, really small. And it might be a project that you pitch in the trash, but at least you started small, and at least you can say you accomplished something, and I'm sure that you will learn something. You can even stain it or mess with painting it or different colors or different paint techniques. Maybe you splatter paint it and give it to a kid. You know, that kid's going to be super excited that you made them something, and then you learn something along the way as well. So tip number 2 is start small and dream big, and then begin with that manageable project, gradually challenging yourself as you go along. And you'll build your confidence as you succeed more, and your aspirations and your complex DIY endeavors will also naturally grow as you go along, right? Hi everybody, I'm so excited to see you guys on. Good to see you all. Okay, and then don't hesitate to ask for guidance. So of course, we talked about these establishments that allow you to rent or borrow tools. Of course, they likely know how to use said tools, and they are there to ask questions from or of. So ask them the questions. And if you guys knew that you could borrow these tools or rent them, drop me a 2 in the chat just to let me know that you already knew. And if that's something you learned just now, drop me a 4 in the chat. Let me know that you guys just learned that you can borrow these tools. That would be exciting to just kind of get feedback from you guys. Is this helpful? Are you guys learning anything new? So online resources, of course, YouTube. Everybody goes to YouTube to learn a new skill. It's somebody has done it. Somebody showed you how to use it. So if you wanted to build a little shelf or hang a shelf for the first time, how do you find studs? What is a stud? You know, the braces in the wall. What are these basic terms? So online resources, there is definitely tutorials, and then experienced DIYers. You can obviously follow somebody on TikTok, YouTube, uh, Facebook. There's Facebook groups for these kinds of things. Find some people building the project that you want to build and kind of stalk them for a little bit. Learn the techniques you can and ask questions. Of course, you can always connect with people in the messenger. And people are super nice if you ask. Most people don't realize that you can actually connect with people you don't know on the internet. You can connect in all kinds of places. So connect with them and ask important questions. How do I get started? What kind of list of tools do I need now? And then, of course, we will, like I said, we have an offer at the end. We'll give you some tips at the end, too. So if you guys want that, stay tuned. And then tip number 3, that was tip number 2. Tip number 3 is embracing the learning curve. Of course, DIY journey involves a pretty steep learning curve. You go from maybe flatline, maybe your skills aren't up to par, maybe you know a little bit about tools, maybe you can use a drill and a screwdriver, but using a power saw is maybe a next level. Embrace that learning curve, embrace safety tips. You guys know, be careful, ask questions. If you don't know what you need to know, just ask. Especially, like I said, Home Depot, Lowe's, mom and pop hardware stores are really great places. I usually look for like the elderly man that looks like he's got some rough hands. He's probably got some miles on his hands, probably has some experience using power tools and building projects, and just kind of got a hardware store job to keep him busy in his retired life. Those are usually superb people, and they would love to help and love to give information. So don't forget to ask, and don't be discouraged by the initial challenges. You know, it's going to come with mistakes, it's going to come with challenges, it might come with a small price tag. Another way to cut the cost of your projects is to go to the rejected lumber side. Now this is going to make your project slightly more challenging, so depending on how much you care about it or how much you're trying to just use it for a learning curve. If it's a straight learning curve, then go to like the warped lumber section and you can start practicing making 45-degree angles. Now if you're trying to make a legit project to hang in your living room, you probably don't want to use this tip, but you want to use good quality wood for your living room, obviously. So don't buy the crap in the corner that is like rejected. But if you're learning to cut, if you want to learn how to use the chop saw, or if you want to learn, try out a staining technique, you don't want it to look like crap for your living room wall, then buy the crap wood that you can use. And I've said crap like 17 times, so I apologize to your kids if they're watching with you. But and then embrace the curve as a natural part of the learning process. So celebrate the progress that you make along the way. One of the biggest things that can be discouraging is chastising yourself and our mental self-talk. This is more of a Mindset Wednesday kind of chat now, but remember that everything you talk about, like, oh, this was sucked, it was the worst project, it was a waste of my time, all of that builds those pathways in your brain, and you don't want to be telling yourself that. You want to give yourself the encouragement and give yourself kudos for the progress that you've made and the skills that you've learned. And maybe you've done this alongside your kid, maybe they're homeschooled and that's just a DIY project that you throw in the trash, but you guys got to spend time together and you got to learn a new skill as well. Relish in that and celebrate it. And then let me know that this was helpful, hopefully. And what kind of project did you do? Take a picture, post it online, post it in your stories. It'll disappear in 24 hours, so nobody has to see it in a week or a year and know what kind of project that you weren't so proud of. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is a little bit of a shorter live today, but I do appreciate it. I didn't really share a story today. I guess, like I said, my story was kind of my first project that I can really think of that was a straight out of the box DIY project. I got a brad nailer and like an air stapler, and then I started practicing on those 45-degree cuts, and I literally made the most simple oils, essential oils. This will be a shameless plug for essential oils. Love essential oils and all the amazing homeopathic tips, all the things you can do with essential oils. So if you're an essential oils representative, I am giving you a shameless plug right now. So drop your link or drop your name, say it's me in the comments, let somebody reach out to you because oils are huge. But anyway, I needed a display shelf for these oils. And so I just made a 3-shelf and it just basic square. There was no back on it, and then the shelves in the middle. So I practiced on my cuts, I practiced on staining, and measure twice, cut once, and use that brad nailer, which has staples, and use it to staple through. You learn different pressures, you learn the safety of the brad nailer, that you can't just squeeze the trigger and shoot yourself in the foot. There is actually a safety mechanism now where that doesn't happen. I learned all kinds of things, and that was just really fun. And then I was able to hang it up in my store. I had a free water store at the time and just focused on education there. And so I was able to hang that on the wall, and I was very proud of that. And I was able to see it. And I'm pretty sure it's still on the wall in the water store that I don't have anymore. But that was my first project. And it's kind of opened up. I did grow up handy. So I grew up with both of my parents on both sides, and kind of everybody in between is handy and has poured that into me. So I had a little bit of a leg up in the confidence section, but I believe in you guys, and what's the worst that can happen? Right, famous last words? Okay, so for all of you guys that have tuned in and stayed to the end, and you want the offer, I have a PDF for 10 essential tips for beginners in DIY home projects. So if that's something that you think would be beneficial for you, just go ahead and drop 10 tips in the comments, or drop me down in the comments, and I will get that sent off to you. And other than that, I really appreciate you guys tuning in for our Empowerment Monday. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, or we'll see you next Monday for more empowerment on Monday. So thank you guys so much, and tell me where you're watching from, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you.